Can the United States prevent the BRICS bloc from turning the global economy on its head? Spoiler alert, the answer is no. The BRICS countries are no longer playing by U.S. rules, and they are making actions that will forever alter the global financial environment. With the U.S. currency in collapse, BRICS is committed to create an alternative financial system that leaves the dollar behind. What's more surprising is that President Trump's promises to penalize countries that forsake the dollar may accelerate rather than delay the trend. In this video, we'll look at the rising movement for de-dollarization, why Trump's threats will only exacerbate the trend, and how Russia's attitude is helping to lead the way. Let's get started. Trump has threatened the BRICS and those nations that are prepared to support it. These threats are brazen, but ultimately foolish. He has warned that countries migrating away from the US dollar will face steep tariffs. But will this halt the de-dollarization effort, or is it simply another desperate attempt to maintain an increasingly irrelevant financial system? For decades, the US dollar has served as the world's reserve currency, a rock-solid foundation for global trade, banking, and politics. The United States has used its control over the dollar to exert worldwide domination, imposing sanctions on nations, regulating international commerce, and exercising its economic power. But those days are numbered. Countries such as China, Russia, and Brazil have been secretly researching alternatives to the U.S. currency, which are gaining traction. Consider China and Russia, for example. Both nations have increased commerce in their respective currencies. To avoid the U.S. currency, use the yuan and rubles instead. Even India, a member of BRICS, has begun to advocate for greater local currency transactions within the group. These efforts are intended to undermine the dollar's influence on global commerce. However, Trump's threats to levy taxes on nations who abandon the currency might benefit the BRICS. Instead of frightening countries into submission, they may stoke the fire of de-dollarization, forcing more countries to abandon the dollar and trade in other currencies. As the United States employs sanctions as a weapon, an increasing number of countries seek strategies to avoid U.S. financial control. The issue now is whether Trump's heavy-handed methods will be the last push that accelerates the dollar's collapse. Russia is not sitting idly by while the United States escalates its economic threats. Russia is sure that these threats would backfire, pushing countries further away from the currency. Russia's spokesperson, Dmitry Peskov, has made it apparent that Trump's sanctions and tariffs are unlikely to have the desired impact. Instead, they will encourage more countries to use their own currencies for trade. This is already happening. The weaponization of the dollar through sanctions has been one of the driving causes behind the demand for alternative financial systems. Countries targeted by U.S. sanctions, like Iran, Venezuela, and Russia, are already looking for alternatives to the dollar. Russia, in particular, is seizing the chance to expand its connections with other BRICS members and encourage the use of local currencies in trade. The growth of ruble-yuan trade agreements between Russia and China is only one illustration of how the BRICS countries are developing their financial infrastructure. They avoid using the U.S. dollar entirely by transacting in their indigenous currencies. This tendency is anticipated to continue as the BRICS go on with their plans to build a new financial system. The United States, which relies heavily on the dollar as a political instrument, may become increasingly isolated if more nations choose other trade agreements. Russia's objective is to promote a multipolar financial system, reducing reliance on the United States and its currency. So while Trump's threats are intended to frighten, they may hasten the transition away from the dollar quicker than the United States is prepared to handle. Now, let's speak about the big game changer, BRICS' new payment method. This is not only a theoretical concept, it's already in the works, and it has the potential to utterly undercut the U.S. dollar's supremacy in international trade. The BRICS bloc is dedicated to developing a payment system that is not dependent on U.S.-controlled financial networks, such as SWIFT. Instead, this system will employ a basket of local currencies, allowing nations in the bloc to trade without the need of the dollar as a middleman. This is a significant step toward financial independence for BRICS countries and a direct threat to the U.S. banking system. Russia's SPFS system for transferring financial communications and China's CIPS cross-border interbank payment system have already laid the basis for this new financial infrastructure. These technologies are intended to offer alternatives to SWIFT, which we and our allies have utilized to regulate worldwide financial transactions. The idea is to make it simpler for BRICS countries to conduct commerce without relying on the U.S. dollar, which has been the backbone of global trade for decades. This payment mechanism has the potential to help BRICS nations break free from the U.S. dollar's control and establish a more decentralized financial system. However, the repercussions of this arrangement extend beyond the BRICS nations. As more nations in the global south seek alternatives to the dollar, this payment system might serve as a blueprint for a new global financial infrastructure. The United States may try to fight these efforts with sanctions, but the globe is shifting away from American financial supremacy. BRICS is playing the long game, developing a system capable of withstanding the pressures that the United States will definitely apply. The future of global commerce may no longer be dependent on the U.S. currency, and BRICS is paving the way. Here's a reminder to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more videos on global geopolitics, the economy, and the changing landscape. Let us proceed immediately. The reason BRICS is gaining popularity in poorer nations is straightforward. The U.S. dollar has become an instrument of control. For decades, the United States has used its economic might to impose sanctions on countries, dictate global trade conditions, and control the global economy in its favor. However, the fractures in this structure are beginning to appear. Developing nations, notably in Africa, Asia, and Latin America, are no longer ready to sit back and let the United States to rule their economy via the dollar. Countries such as Iran, Venezuela, and Zimbabwe have already seen the terrible impact of U.S. sanctions, which have destroyed their economy and curtailed their capacity to trade freely on a global scale. As a result, these countries, like many others, are looking for alternatives to the U.S. currency. BRICS is stepping in, offering a new financial structure that allows emerging nations to trade on their own terms. Moving away from the U.S. currency allows these countries to maintain their sovereignty and avoid being vulnerable to the vagaries of U.S. economic policy. However, this move is not solely motivated by avoiding punishment. It is about creating a more egalitarian financial system that offers developing nations a fair chance in global commerce. For far too long, the United States has relied on the dollar to dominate international banking, and the BRICS are now giving alternatives. As more nations in the global south join the de-dollarization movement, the U.S. dollar's hold on the global economy weakens further. The issue today is whether the United States can reverse this trend, or if it is already too late. So, are the days of the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency numbered? Let's face it. The U.S. dollar's days as the unquestioned global reserve currency are limited. The emergence of alternative payment methods, such as BRICS' new platform, and the rising trend of local currency trade agreements are beginning to weaken the dollar's supremacy. For decades, the United States has had unprecedented power over global commerce and banking. But that is changing. Countries such as China and Russia have already begun to incorporate the yuan and ruble into international commerce, indicating a move away from the dollar. The U.S. dollar's proportion of global foreign exchange reserves is declining, while the yuan's significance in global commerce is increasing. BRICS is moving forward with its alternative payment system, and nations in the global south are increasingly seeking to escape the dollar's supremacy. The writing was on the wall. The United States dollar is no longer the lone currency in town. As BRICS expands and more nations abandon the currency, the United States will have to confront the truth that its financial empire is dwindling. The question is not whether the United States dollar will lose its position as the world's reserve currency. It's when. As more nations choose other currencies for trade, the United States may find itself on the sidelines, battling to preserve its dominance over global banking. BRICS are leading the push, and the future of global banking appears to be less and less dependent on the dollar. What are your thoughts? Can the United States prevent the BRICS bloc from altering the global banking system? Is it too late to stem the wave of de-dollarization? Please let us know in the comments section. Will Trump's threats be enough to stop BRICS? Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned. Tell us what you think in the comments section.